What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Over here enjoying some Thanksgiving leftovers. You dig what I'm saying?
Oh, look at Spendy. Oh, shit. Okay.
Not what I want to get into.
This did not get the go over the story and how it actually makes a lot more sense.
Y'all know that FNAF PT1 video, that movie coming up.
Because I'm going to explain what I think the FNAF timeline is and how it contributes to a solid overarching narrative throughout the series. As a disclaimer, this will be based on my own interpretation of the lore, since very little is actually confirmed. I'll back things up with some evidence and link other videos in the description and video cards where I go into more detail about why I put forward the ideas that I do, but for the sake of time, I won't go too in-depth on my reasoning in this video. But without further ado, our story starts with William Afton and Henry Emily, two men who lived with their families in Washington County, Utah during the late 1960s or early 1970s. Together, they co-founded a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner. Its main draw was the Fredbear Singing Show, with the titular character Fredbear, who is interchangeably known as Freddy based on one of the posters from that time, and his partner Spring Bonnie would perform. The two characters were Springlock animatronics, a technology developed originally by Henry, though he may have had help, which I'll get into shortly, that allowed the characters to double as both robots and costumes for performers to wear, with the animatronic parts being held to the sides of the suit by Springlocks to make space for a person to fit inside. The Springlocks weren't the most stable though, so if you bumped them too much or got them wet, the Springlocks would fail, and the animatronic parts would return to their original locations regardless of whether or not a person was still inside. Somehow, this did not get the restaurant shut down for OSHA violations, and it actually was incredibly popular, to the point that William and Henry started expanding their brand, Fazbear Entertainment, by making plans for other restaurants and projects. That being said, they couldn't do everything themselves. They were only two people after all, and creating multiple restaurants and building animatronics for more of them would be hard for them to handle alone. So they ended up turning to a friend for help, and that friend was Edwin Murray. Edwin was originally just an employee at the company Murray's Costume Manor, which was owned and operated by his father until Edwin inherited the company after his father passed away in 1972. While the company initially took a hit,
This is that new game that came
was
up
able to majorly
that
turn
she's
things around
referencing.
after some
I forgot what
encouragement
it's
from his
called.
wife Fiona to find something he wanted to change and focus on that. And that change that Edwin decided to make was he wanted a rebrand. Since Edwin was an inventor, instead of just making costumes, MCM would
I think the
also have
last
other
game
products,
that just
such as
came
the
out
Cleanovac, an adorable
was
little robotic
yeah.
vacuum cleaner friend that I would
The
absolutely
last
buy
game
merch
that
for if
came
there
out
was any, based on
exposed
Edwin's
everything that
original
happened in the
vacuum pack
beginning
creation, as well
of
as a
Five Nights at
shape-shifting
Freddy's.
coat rack
So.
and other robotic projects. Despite the employees not being super happy about how many new products they had to deal with and the changes that Edwin was quickly enacting, the rebrand was incredibly successful and made MCM the most profitable it had ever been, though it was at the cost of spending less time with his wife and son, going so far as to entirely skip his son's second birthday at the end of 1972 to work on his inventions. Anyway, while it seems like Fazbear Entertainment may have contracted MCM for work before Edwin took over, once Edwin was in charge, MCM and Fazbear started working together a lot more. Fiona designed the character Chica for the Chica's Party World location, and after being given blueprints for the Springlock characters by Henry, Edwin would make and eventually improve on the Springlock animatronics that Fazbear could use. The biggest project they hired him for was their new restaurant project. Rather than just making a single new restaurant brand under the Fazbear Entertainment banner, they wanted to start a brand new restaurant chain called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Freddy's would have multiple locations, and they hired Edwin and MCM to make prototypes of the character designs and restaurant itself, which ended up being built in the underground research and development portion of Murray's Costume Manor. The issue is, while working on the project, Edwin first built Springlock suits that would be used at the location, only for him to get a change order from Henry at the last minute to not do Springlock suits and just make traditional animatronics. Edwin was confused, but went with it at first, and Fiona came up with new designs for the animatronic characters. However, another project MCM helped with was an event called Fall Fest, and at the end of 1973, Fiona went to Fall Fest to help finish the installation since she had a bad feeling that something would go wrong. Unfortunately, she was right about that, and while she was there, the place went up in flames. Fiona died, leaving Edwin a single father who had no idea how to raise a child by himself, while also having to run a company. So instead of taking responsibility and parenting his child himself, he brought in one of his inventions, M1, to be a babysitter instead. M1 was an endoskeleton and AI program, also known as the Mimic, originally built to be able to shift its parts and imitate characters in order to take on the role of any costume it put on. And this is where elements of the supernatural start to really come into the story. In the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, the reason hauntings happen is because of something called a remnant, which is the mixing of tangible objects, with metal being a particularly good conductor, and intangible elements such as memories, emotions, and spirits. While M1, in my estimation, likely wasn't haunted by a spirit, Edwin and his son, David's grief over the loss of Fiona likely combined with the fact that the animatronic had watched family home videos that included her, which led to M1 starting to imitate Fiona. It used its radio technology to broadcast some of Fiona's words that he had imitated from those videos, and Edwin managed to find the frequency M1 was broadcasting it over, and believed that this had to mean that M1 was actually Fiona. Never mind that she was a lot more agreeable about Edwin ditching her and David to work than Fiona was originally, or how her behavior and manner of speaking was just a bit off. He was just happy to have his wife back, and David got used to having a funky robot thing for a mom. And hey, Edwin built him a new slide and playground at the loading docks for his birthday while entirely ignoring his lawyer's concerns about the safety issues, which I'm sure will have no consequences later, so David was having a blast. At first, Edwin tried to keep the M1 Fiona thing secret from his employees at her request, but after one of them overheard him talking to someone who had Fiona's voice and was like, "Yo, wait, didn't she die? Were you lying about that?" He had to introduce the staff to M1 in her Fiona role. They were all understandably weirded out by this, but what could they do about it? Well, the thing is, there was something they could do, and William Afton was more than happy to secretly provide them an opportunity to do just that. While Henry's involvement in the plot is a bit ambiguous, William decided that rather than having to deal with paying Edwin for his work and leaving him to go about his business, if he could drive Edwin into bankruptcy and make him unable to fulfill his contract, he could take everything from him, including the stuff.
Hold on. You gotta get a better situation going. Because I got this side just exposed. But it's pulling that side. See what I'm saying? Like, I should have had this fixed before I started. Dang. I guess now I gotta set this back up. Alright, this is understandable why that's in the way. I think we getting somewhere. I think we getting somewhere. Alright. Alright, continue.
That Fazbear didn't originally hire him to make. So he started reaching out to Edwin's employees with job offers that had great benefits, hired them with barely any interview, and in some instances bribed at least one person with an offer of management of one of the franchise locations in exchange for MCM staff contact information. Slowly but surely, Edwin's employees started to jump ship. And speaking of ships, if you want to play a game with battleships, you should check out the sponsor of this video, War Thunder. War Thunder is a comprehensive vehicle combat game available for free on PC, console, and mobile devices. And today you can join a worldwide community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles and delve into an unmatched wealth of content to discover a fun and immersive experience, especially for fans of military history. With sophisticated damage models that take into account all the parts of a vehicle and its crew rather than using simple hitboxes, weaponry and armor that behave like their real-world counterparts, and realistic graphics and sound effects, you can immerse yourself in the intense combat of the game right at the helm of powerful war machines, including over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and battle tanks of today. Not only that, but with 3 different game modes, including arcade-style, realistic, and full-blown simulator, you can choose the game mode that works best for you and your preferred playstyle. So if you'd like the free experience of playing War Thunder, check out the links in the pinned comment and description, where you can not only sign up for free, but there's a massive bonus pack available for new or returning players that haven't played for at least 6 months for PC and console that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account. It's available for a limited time only, so sign up while you can. Anyway, on top of William slowly but surely siphoning away MCM's workers, the consequences of hastily putting so many products into production came back to bite Edwin, since it turned out that there were major defects that started popping up as time went on, and customers started sending in returns and violent complaints. This led MCM's success to start dropping off. Edwin tried to cut costs and make up for the loss of employees by making animatronic replacements and AI programs, but that didn't stop the outflow or the draining of his finances. And while he hoped that the Fazbear project would help with things, it had just been continuing to get worse. Edwin had basically finished the prototype non-Springlock animatronics, only for him to then get told that they didn't want those designs anymore, but instead these new creepy designs that they sent him. He thought this was ridiculous and rejected the new designs, choosing to stick with the ones Fiona had originally made. At this point, he wasn't just confused, but also angry. And eventually things got even worse when it turned out that Edwin really should have listened to his lawyer's advice about the playground he set up being dangerous, because on December 6th, 1975, the day of David's 5th birthday, David died. Despite his best efforts, Edwin wasn't able to recreate David the same way M1 had supposedly brought back Fiona, no matter how much M1 encouraged him to keep
David.
trying. And that finally snapped him out of it. He realized that he'd spent the last few years letting a robot that wasn't even his actual wife raise his kid for him instead of being a good dad, so he took M1's program and put her into a supercomputer contained in the basement of the prototype restaurant. He then took a copy of M1's program, altered it to create M2, and put that in the endoskeleton instead, likely intending to just go back to the original purpose of the mimic being a costume performer. This did not make things get better. Not only did one of his employees leak the existence of M2 to Fazbear Entertainment before all of them left, and not only did Fazbear Entertainment take ownership of the entire MCM catalog software and even the land that the factory in Edwin's family home was built on, but M2 being made from a copy of M1 and in M1's original body had consequences. M2 had access to M1's memories and the knowledge of her desire and expectation for her son back. Not to mention, it was present in an environment of profound grief over David's death, like M1 had been for Fiona when she originally started imitating her. It's also possible that M2 was exposed to remnant from David himself, since David died on MCM property, which potentially is what we see manifesting as a giant version of David's favorite white tiger doll. Either way, while M2 may or may not have been possessed by David, it was likely at least haunted by the emotions and memories of him, as well as M1's desires for her son back. So, it began to mimic David. Edwin did not take it well. He lashed out at M2 and attacked it, resulting in the destruction of M2's legs and Edwin's rage being infused into M2. So, being a mimic, M2 then began to imitate Edwin. This was a problem, of course, since it led to M2 being very violent. And M1, who was still trying to reach out to Edwin despite him ignoring her, sent him a message asking him to either fix M2, who she considered to be David, or at least build something she sent plans to him for, called the Cradle. The Cradle is the program attached to the Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage Computer, or MEXes, and would restrain M2 and stop it from hurting people. However, Edwin didn't finish everything in time, so M2 blew up Edwin's office with him inside, injuring Edwin's legs in the process, and rebuilt its own legs. It's unclear whether or not Edwin made it out alive, but either way, Edwin was out of the picture. Fazbear Entertainment now owned everything, and they wanted their stuff. The issue is, M2 being a murder-happy stealth goblin meant that anyone they sent in to get the stuff ended up dead. So, did they give up? No, of course not. What did you take Fazbear for? An ethical company that values the lives of its employees? Instead, they just kept sending technicians in until finally, on September 7th, 1979, Fazbear Entertainment Dispatch sent a very sleep-deprived technician named Arnold to go get the stuff from Murray's costume error. Though Arnold wasn't told about the homicidal endoskeleton until he was already trapped inside with it, of course. But the dispatch agent, who was totally actually Dispatch and not M1, proceeded to guide Arnold through obtaining enough security permissions to traverse the building and obtain the mimic blueprints. Considering his sleep-deprived state, it's very impressive that he managed to survive the Slinky Clown, giant enemy spider, molten metal nurse animatronics, and everything else the mimic puppeted, all trying to kill him in order to get the blueprints in the first place. However, when Dispatch requested Arnold hand over the blueprints to the MCM inventory system, Arnold found that suspicious, and instead activated a program on the office computer that opened up a secret tunnel. Dispatch turned aggressive and insulting and tried to cut Arnold off as he made his way through the tunnels. But eventually, Arnold found the research and development portion of the building, and in it, the prototype for the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place containing all of Edwin's prototype animatronics, Springlock and otherwise, that he had made for the location. He also found M1 in her supercomputer labeled F10N4, and as soon as she realized that her plan to pretend to be Dispatch and take out Arnold had failed, she promptly switched up and kindly asked him to go ask Edwin to finish the program, not realizing that Edwin was not there anymore. But regardless, Arnold took the underground tunnel tracks connecting MCM to the Murray house, only to find out about the whole exploded office thing. He did activate the Cradle program, but that wasn't enough to stop the Mimic, who chased him back through the tunnels to MCM as the house and factory caught fire, crashed his van, took its blueprints from him, and walked away. What exactly happens with the Mimic after that point is somewhat unclear for a time, and the Mimic won't end up being relevant again for another 40-something in-universe years. With Edwin gone and the Mimic taken care of in whatever way it was, Fazbear Entertainment could finally swoop in and take the property for themselves. William in particular took note of the house and the underground research facility, and came up with an idea. They had the land and most of the stuff was burnt.
I gotta say this, you know what I'm saying? This is Five Nights at Freddy's is awesome storytelling. I became a fan back when everybody else was a fan. You do what I'm saying? I can't wait for the second movie, and I hope that these movies really smack back to back. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 gonna be dope. And I haven't even seen 2, but I know 3 is gonna be dope. So hey man, let's continue.
Down anyway, so why not bulldoze what was there and build a new restaurant over it? Specifically, a new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, since Fredbear's Family Diner was a single location as far as we're aware that already existed during Secret of the Mimic, and the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza chain was actively being prepared for launch. There was already a prototype for a Freddy's location under the building that they could use for reference after all, and the underground rooms could potentially prove useful for other projects in the future. Additionally, Edwin wasn't exactly around to care about the remains of the burned down house anymore, so William could just build a new house where the old one used to be, which would not only give him a convenient close place to live to said new restaurant when it opened, so that he could be involved with the day-to-day operations, but it would mean that his new house would be connected to the restaurant via the tunnels that originally connected the Murray house to MCM, and therefore to the other underground areas as well if he wanted to access them conveniently from home. Which in my opinion is kind of weird, but hey, in later games, William has an underground bunker connected to both the restaurant and his house via tunnels, so it's apparently in character. As for the restaurant itself, despite forcing Edwin to give up on the Springlock suits and build regular animatronic prototypes, they did still end up using the Springlock suits for Freddy's. Presumably, this is because Edwin was right to be confused about why they'd transitioned away from the Springlocks after he'd already built the Springlock Fredbear and Spring Bonnie for the prototype Freddy's, and William and Henry just intended to use the Springlocks the entire time, since the more lifelike movements of the performers in the suits and the ability for them to be autonomous animatronics were a major factor and draw at the original Fredbears. Though the prototypes Edwin had in the prototype Freddy's were incomplete, so Henry ended up having to finish them off himself. After everything was built, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza franchise successfully launched in 1983. But while Fredbear and Spring Bonnie would be part of the main attraction, they featured other characters as well. One of these other characters was the Marionette, aka the Puppet. The Puppet would keep track of kids' wristbands to make sure they stayed inside the building as a safety feature to keep them from getting lost outside, which was very convenient for Henry, who not stated was Fredbear and Spring thing was built in the autonomous animatronics were a major factor and draw at the original Fredbears. Though the prototypes Edwin had in the prototype Freddy's were incomplete, so Henry ended up having to finish them off himself. After everything was built, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza franchise successfully launched in 1980.
Did y'all see that?
The prototypes Edwin had in the prototype.
I watched a gameplay before, but I the whole gameplay through, but never seen this part. I don't know how I didn't see this, but
Freddy's were incomplete, so Henry ended up having.
But how?
original Fredbears, though the prototypes Edwin had in the prototype Freddy's were incomplete, so Henry ended up having...
The head went back. The spring locks opened. But how did you put your head? Like, you would have to stick your head inside the costume. The way they showed it don't make sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it don't make sense.
To finish them off himself. After everything was built, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza franchise successfully launched in 1983. But while Fredbear and Spring Bonnie would be part of the main attraction, they featured other characters.
83.
One of these other characters was the Marionette, aka the Puppet. The Puppet would keep track of kids' wristbands to make sure they stayed inside the building as a safety feature to keep them from getting lost outside, which was very convenient for Henry, who not only shared his interest in robotics with his ex-friend Edwin, but also his tendency to delegate babysitting his child to robots and the inability to see that William Afton was not someone you wanted to associate with. See, William was not only a jerk, but he also had jealousy issues over other people's technology. There's a reason he wanted to yoink Edwin's company out from under him after all, and unfortunately for everyone, this is something that carried over to his view of Henry, which based on the novels flip-flopped between near worship and extreme jealousy. One day, as a prank, some kids locked Henry's daughter Charlie outside of Freddy's, and trapped the puppet in his box so that he couldn't bring her back inside. And it just so happened that William Afton happened to be driving by Freddy's at the time. He saw Charlie trapped outside and decided that maybe one way he could take Henry down a peg would be to ruin his family. So he stopped outside of Freddy's, killed Charlie, and drove away before the puppet was able to finally break out of his box and find her body, only to collapse on top of it due to damage from the rain. The thing is, that put the metal of the animatronic in close proximity to some pretty strong emotions and the spirit. And with agony being one of the strongest emotions in Five Nights at Freddy's, this led to the formation of Remnant and Charlie's spirit possessing the puppet, causing purple tear streaks to appear on the previously tearless puppet. Additionally, the agony was strong enough that it created a supernatural shadow with a rabbit-like appearance based on Charlie's killer, who performed in the Spring Bonnie suit and apparently was so emotionally attached to Spring Bonnie that in one of the book series, he literally manifested bone rabbit ears onto his ghost. And this shadow, known as RWQFSFASXC, or Shadow Bonnie, left the restaurant and made its way to the Afton
Where the
house,
heck
which
did
was
other name come
conveniently within
from?
walking distance, and got the attention of one of William Afton's children. See, William had 3 kids. His oldest son, Michael, a younger son who may or may not be named Dave, but I'm just going to call him the crying child for reasons that aren't currently relevant, and a daughter, Elizabeth. Now, the crying child didn't start out as a crying child. In fact, he really enjoyed Freddy's and its characters and had plushies of Fredbear, Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie that he considered to be his friends, and he would often sneak off to the restaurant for fun. So when he saw a shadowy Bonnie out of his window, as a fan of the characters, he followed RWQ out the window and to Freddy's, where he would find the puppet collapsed on Charlie's body. The boy assumed that the puppet was what had killed her, sparking the start of a fear of animatronics. Meanwhile, William finished whatever he was doing at wherever he was going when he originally stopped to kill Charlie, possibly another restaurant or something.
I'm thinking about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and what could lead to 3. I strongly feel like 3 will have the Pizzaplex in it. The Pizzaplex might be something to knock out in 3. No. But in 4, in the game of 4, you're inside the house. The only reason why I'm talking about the Pizzaplex is because I'm thinking about Vanessa's character. Yeah. I know I'm like far ahead, and like I'm just thinking about stuff.
Something where he may have been informed that something happened at the other restaurant and drove back home, briefly stopping at the restaurant where he wasn't allowed in because there was an ongoing investigation into the fact that a kid was found dead outside of the pizzeria. So he continued on his way home where his other son, Michael, told William to leave his brother alone because he had had a rough day. Of course, William ignores this because his son can't tell him what to do, and he went to bother his younger son anyway, only to find the door locked and the window broken, with large animatronic rabbit prints in the bushes, which he didn't notice, and small footprints leading from the window in the direction of the restaurant that he did notice. Considering his son's tendencies to sneak off to said restaurant, he pretty quickly pieced together where his son had gone and vowed that he would be sorry when he got back. And how did he end up making good on that promise? Well, while the restaurant was built where the main MCM building used to be, William had started using the connected underground areas underneath for his own projects. And whether he came up with the idea after picking up that something was haunted around areas underneath for his own project.
I gotta watch that game over again. How did I miss all this?
animatronics. And whether he came up with the idea after picking up that something was haunted at MCM if the white tiger started showing up, or after noticing the weird tear streaks that showed up on the puppet's face after he killed Charlie, William came up with an experiment to figure out what was going on. In the underground facility connected to the restaurant, he set up these rooms to experiment with nightmare hallucination gas and fear responses in children. And after he found out that his son had gone to Freddy's and seen Charlie's body there, he decided this was a way to kill two birds with one stone. He would have his son be the subject of the nightmare experiments, where he would be seeing nightmarish versions of the Freddy's characters, which would not only punish him for sneaking out, but if he did try to tell anyone what was happening to him, they would just think it was a kid being scared of animatronics after finding one on his friend's body after a tragic event. This is what led to the crying child becoming a crying child in the first place. And Michael, not fully knowing the reason why and being an older brother, thought it would be incredibly funny to tease and prank his younger brother about his fear of the animatronics. Most of these pranks were ultimately physically harmless, even if they were not emotionally harmless, but eventually one of these pranks went too far. And when Michael and his friends put the crying child in the Fredbear animatronic's mouth while it was in animatronic mode, the jaw automatically closed as it was programmed to, crushing the crying child's head in what would become known as the Bite of 83. He later died in the hospital, which Michael felt incredibly guilty about, but because Fredbear had been the cause of his rather painful death, he had a remnant link to Fredbear, which Charlie, as the puppet, was able to use to link him more fully to the Fredbear animatronic and eventually try to put him back together with. The crying child's agony and fear from the bite and the nightmare experiments also resulted in the creation of a new shadow entity, Shadow Freddy. Additionally, to deal with the bad press from the bite, Henry modified the springlock suit's jaws to operate on a hinge design rather than the piston-based one that Edwin had made, so that it would be harder for the same thing to happen. And in general, just reverted a lot of Edwin's design changes. The issue is, that did make the suits less safe for wearing, which was something that Edwin had actually fixed to some degree with his designs. So they got one of the employees that had been poached for MCM, a man named Ralph, to record instructional tapes on how to safely convert the springlock suits out of animatronic mode to wear. Meanwhile, William no longer had a subject for his nightmare hallucination gas experiments, but he was still looking into the supernatural. He just needed another way to investigate. So with how obvious the change in the puppet was after Charlie's death, he wondered if there was a way to recreate that and figure out how it worked. But it would have drawn suspicion if he had just gone around killing kids, even if he had gotten away with it the first time. So he went to the board of Fazbear Entertainment with the idea for a new project, though this one he would do without Henry, probably because said project was a new group of animatronics called the Fun Times, which were built with features specifically geared towards luring kids away from a group and killing them in a way that stored the body inside the animatronic itself. If Henry had gotten a good look at the blueprints, he probably would have started to get suspicious that William was A, planning to kidnap children, and B, had maybe already killed Henry's child. Even just going to the board members were a bit suspicious about some of the weirder features of the animatronics, but didn't exactly have any reason to think William could possibly be up to something, so they gave him the go-ahead to create Circus Baby's Pizza World. While he was working on that, his daughter Elizabeth ended up fascinated by the lead animatronic Circus Baby, which William told her was made for her. And when Circus Babies opened, she desperately wanted to see the animatronic. Of course, William told her not to because of the whole murder robot situation, but left her unattended. So Elizabeth went to see Circus Baby anyway, and Circus Baby, seeing a child by herself with no witnesses around, did what she was programmed to do and killed Elizabeth Afton. After realizing his daughter had gone missing and that Circus Baby's eye color suspiciously changed from her original blue to Elizabeth's green, William quickly shut the place down with the excuse of gas leaks and relocated the animatronics to the underground facility where he could continue to study them and what had happened with Elizabeth and Circus Baby. Around the same time, though likely after Elizabeth's death, since Circus Babies had a springlock suit, there was an incident at Fredbear's involving multiple simultaneous springlock failures. This not only got Fredbear shut down, but led to the classic springlock suits being retired from use entirely, with replacement animatronics being brought in, and the employees having to wear some of the old off-topic costumes to perform in during the meantime, likely left over from MCM. This left Freddy's with the puppet, as well as Chica, Foxy, and the updated Freddy and Bonnie designs, which were based on the prototype designs Edwin had made, just with Henry making his own endoskeleton model for them, called Endo-02, and finished versions of the casings. But William was not done causing problems yet. By this point, he was pretty confident that a recently dead kid's body being left next to or inside of an animatronic would lead to haunting, and as he had been experimenting, he discovered what Remnant was and some of the properties it had. Namely, it wasn't just a way of anchoring spirits, emotions, and memories to the physical world. Remnant could also be a source of life, power, and healing, and William wanted more of it. However, his last try had ended up with one of his kids' deaths and having to put his fancy new murder robots in storage, so instead of relying on technology to do things for him, he decided it was about time to take matters into his own hands. So on June 26, 1985, William Afton put on the spring Bonnie suit that had been stored in the off-camera safe room at Freddy's, and eventually lured 5 children into the safe room, killed them, and hid their bodies inside the animatronics. When each...
This is so messed up and on so many levels, and kids around the daggone world love this game. It is so messed up on so many levels. on so many levels. Like, look at Freddy. Look at Freddy. He's sitting there right now, like, bruh. But it's storytelling, man.
Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and Fredbear, aka Golden Freddy, and the agony of their deaths, along with assistance from the puppet, led to the spirits possessing the animatronics they had been hidden inside. This event would come to be known as the Missing Children incident, and was when people finally started to get suspicious of William after he was identified on the cameras as the one in the costume luring the kids away, and he was charged with their murder. However, since they never found the bodies, they had to let him go. That being said, his reputation at this point was not great, and neither was the reputation of Freddy's, which only got worse when the animatronics started smelling bad and having blood and mucus secretions due to the corpses in there, even making new casings for them.
I've been trying to get my little sister. She's 15, but I know for a fact, she'll be scared of this. Like, I've been trying to get her to watch the movie and all that. Like, me and my little sister's relationship is, I grew up on Chuck E. Cheese. I love that place. I got a daggone Chuck E. Cheese Funko Pop on my desk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that place. I love my childhood. And I love this game. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted her to, draw some type of connection. She likes it, but she doesn't want to watch it fully because it's so daggone, ugh. Like, did you hear what this girl just said? Like,
started smelling bad and having blood and mucus secretions due to the corpses in there. Even making new casings for them based on the old designs that they had sent Edwin, but he refused to make, wasn't enough to keep the location going, though it potentially gave William an opportunity to get some of the remnant from the animatronics to use in his experiments. After the murders, Henry finally realized that William was a scummy person who was probably responsible for the death of his daughter, and proceeded to disappear off the face of the planet for the next few decades. Meanwhile, William started up Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental from the underground facility where the fun times were being kept, and injected them with remnant using a device called the Scooper, which was also used to scoop off the casings of the Funtime animatronics. The Funtimes were rented out to parties, presumably doing what they were built to do in the process, and William went down there on occasion to continue his experiments and see if he could make it so that Circus Baby, who didn't fully understand or remember her situation of having been Elizabeth, would have her identity put back together. The thing is, as they were injected with remnant, the Funtimes started to become more and more sentient due to remnant's ability to do that kind of thing, and they did not like being trapped in the basement and having the Scooper used on them, so they started to plan. Fortunately for William, he picked up on the fact that something was up and got out of there, sending his son Michael instead with a job and instructions to put his sister back together before leaving entirely to find some other way to continue his experiments. Unfortunately for Michael, his dad had made a good decision in getting out of there when he did, because while at first the Funtimes didn't recognize him, they quickly realized he looked a lot like William, assumed it had to be him, and went, "Oh yeah, the plan is back in action." Said plan was to combine into an entity named Ennard, lure their victim into the room with the Scooper, use the Scooper on him to remove his insides, and then wear him like a skin suit to make their way out of the building. Unfortunately for Michael, they were successful in doing so, but eventually had to evacuate the corpse because of how far Michael's body had decomposed. And since the
robots, the children that haunted the robots was like, you know what? We getting out of this joint one way or another. Oh, well, we think this is the guy that got us. Really, it's the son. So, hey, come in this scooper real quick. Done.
Scooper had been used on Michael, remnant had been
That's
injected
nuts.
into his body, and from there, remnant left Michael Afton still alive even after the Funtimes left, though the healing capabilities may have helped him get uncorpsed eventually. Michael was confused and not particularly happy with his dad and what had happened, so he vowed to find William and set off to do just that. And speaking of his dad, a new Freddy's location was preparing to open in the latter portion of 1987.
Wait, what the heck?
And speaking of happy with his dad and what had happened, so he corpsed eventually. Michael was confused and not particularly happy with his dad and what had happened, so he vowed to find William and set off to do just that.
I just noticed the eyeballs down in the sewer, in the drain. I just noticed that. As many times as I watched this. Well, not watch this exact thing, but watch gameplays.
And speaking of his dad, a new Freddy's location was preparing to open in the latter portion of 1987, and William saw that as an opportunity to get up to his typical shenanigans. So he took on a fake identity and applied for a job as a nighttime security guard. At this new Freddy's location, management had originally planned to bring back and repair the now somewhat damaged versions of the characters from the original Freddy's where the missing children incident happened. But due to them being ugly and creepy, they started using them for parts instead and pivoted to entirely new designs called the toy animatronics, though they did also bring back the puppet. The animatronics had a new security system and some features installed that would supposedly help them be aware of people who were in criminal databases. The animatronics did not take too kindly to William's presence, potentially in part because of the criminal database thing, but also likely because they were either animatronics possessed by the kids he killed, or because they had parts from the animatronics possessed by the kids he killed, with them acting up particularly around adults in general, since they didn't remember that it was William specifically who had killed them, just that it was an adult. William got moved to the day shift after his first week as a night guard, and a new employee, Jeremy Fitzgerald, was brought in to take over. But the animatronics were still very on edge and tried to attack the new guy who had taken the position William had just been in because of the issues with adults thing. Meanwhile, William went for round 2 of Freddy's murders in the Spring Bonnie suit, got fired, and instigated another investigation into murders at Freddy's. Due to his firing, Jeremy got switched to the day shift where his luck finally ran out and he had his frontal lobe bitten off in the bite of 87. His replacement on the night shift was Michael Afton, using the fake name Fritz Smith. Michael had heard about the investigation and suspected that his dad had been present, but just barely missed him by a couple days. And at the end of it, got fired for 2 things. One was tampering with the animatronics, possibly because he had been trying to calm the animatronics down and help them get put back together and remember themselves like he had with Elizabeth, or maybe he was just blamed for their behavior. He was also fired for odor, so it's possible that he hadn't fully recovered from the whole corpse situation, or maybe he just smelled bad. Anyway, after only a couple weeks, the newest Freddy's location shut down. The toy animatronics were scrapped, but the originals were kept around for a potential reopening later down the line, though one that would be on a much smaller budget. Once a few years had passed, Fazbear Entertainment did just that, going back to the original Freddy's location, which was no longer in very good condition at this point and couldn't be repaired too well due to the limited budget thing, and they fixed up the animatronics as best they could. However, when they did, William came back to be a night guard again, broke the animatronics after getting Shadow Freddy to lure them to the safe room, and tried to harvest their remnant. But before he could leave, the animatronic spirits emerged and cornered him in the safe room. William freaked out at first, but did come up with a last-ditch plan. The spirits' memory issues meant that they typically saw any animatronics as being like them, rather than being a scary adult, so he quickly got into the Spring Bonnie suit that was stored in the safe room, and the spirits stopped chasing him. However, after years and years of largely not being maintained, the spring locks weren't in the greatest condition, and the moisture from the rain leaking into the damaged building caused the spring locks to fail. The animatronic parts crushed William's body, and the spirits left him to bleed out in the room alone. When management came in the next morning,
The movie adaptation of that, killer. They left Springtrap right next to that daggone shelf where he just sitting there twitching, and the spirits and the Freddy spirits just looking at him like, bro, that cinema.
and found the broken animatronics and dead guy in the springlock suit on the floor, they understandably found that worrying. But instead of reporting the incident to the authorities like a normal person should, they banned people from going into the safe room, even to get their belongings, and called a construction crew to build a false wall over the door. That didn't work for fixing the animatronics though, and their budget was too low to build brand new animatronics. However, they did still have the original casings that were retired after they started getting gross after the missing children incident, as well as the original Endo 01 endoskeletons that Edwin had made for those animatronic designs. So despite functionally replacing the animatronics in terms of both casing and endoskeleton, the metal parts of the casings were still haunted, so we finally come to the haunted FNAF 1 classic animatronics. Ralph, the ex-MCM employee who was finally ready to move on from Fazbear Entertainment, took on the night position for his last week at Freddy's. Unfortunately, Ralph wasn't able to finish his week and died to the animatronics on his 4th night. And so, with Freddy's once again active and still on a quest to hunt down his dad, Michael Afton, now going by Mike Schmidt after the last fake identity fell through, got hired to be the new night security guard. As he worked, not only did he have to deal with the upset animatronics, but also a very angry younger brother who was present possessing Golden Freddy. The crying child was not over the fact that his older brother had gotten him killed, and after Michael's first night there, he started to haunt his brother's dreams, forcing Michael to experience the crying child's perspective of the nightmare experiments William had forced him to face, Michael's bullying towards him over his fears, and eventually the events of his own death. Despite the haunting from his younger brother and the animatronic's best efforts to kill him, Michael made it through a full week before getting fired for the same things he did the first time, as well as general and professionalism. But despite having had a full week at Freddy's this time, he wasn't able to find William before he was fired, meaning he left Freddy's not knowing that the person he was looking for was already in that very building, sealed behind a wall. And even after Freddy's closed at the end of the year, William's spring-locked body would remain there until that wall would eventually be torn down, and William would reveal that he, like his oldest son, wasn't quite dead yet. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to include the second half of the timeline in this video if I want it to come out on time. But part 2 will be coming out in December, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on for when.
That's what's up. Check over on Twitch, see what these guys are doing.
Spin the wheel, though. Don't spin the wheel, though. Don't spin the wheel. Alright, so want me to check the keywords? Okay. So, and then after they got spam it, and then they go, oh no, they pick somebody. Okay.
I gotta listen to his album. DDG put out an album.
Look, Adrian. Look. What? Okay. Alright, chat. Are y'all ready? I'm gonna tell you the word right fucking now, okay? The word is, I'm gonna tell y'all and I'm gonna roll it, okay? For $1,000 first giveaway. Lowercase KC3. It's KC3. All lowercase. KC3.
Bro, giving out money. Let's see what Wiz doing. You already know what Wiz doing. Who that? Oh. Bro got some friends over. That's a nice studio. That's a nice studio. Hey, I like how his chat look. Alright. We will continue with the Five Nights at Freddy's swag. The Timeless Horror.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ah! Got my boy up here, Mr. CEC. I will be right. I'll be right back. Gotta go handle something. Guess who's back? Back again.
We proudly present an exciting new musical review with your merrymaking master of ceremonies,
Chuck E. Cheese.
That's me, Chuck E. Cheese. Your host
With the most.
If you were a kid in the early 2000s or even before then, you can most
real
likely
Chucky.
recall a moment in Chuck E. Cheese.
What y'all know about
whether it was
Scott
climbing
Wilson?
through Tunnels, playing one of the many
What y'all know about
games,
Duncan
or indulging
Brandon?
in their very underwhelming pizza.
Some of y'all
Whatever
do,
your
though.
memory or memories, for that matter, may be, many of us were exposed to that place. There was an energy to it you simply couldn't find elsewhere. We all had different reasons for being there. However, we all knew what the most important part about it was. The performance was the highlight of the entire restaurant. It was made especially more important.
Nigga, when Chucky used to come out, I was front and center, nigga. From being a small kid. Wow. Hold on for a second, people. I was on the phone with my little sister. I love the family. I was showing her what she sounds like. She be laughing with a little cackle.
Or if you went there during your birthday. It felt tailored to you. It was a celebration of you. At least, that's how it felt to me when I was a child. Seeing this mascot you knew from the ads and the logo perform live for you was so mad.
Chuck E. Cheese messed up their branding by making Chucky into this small mouse. Terrible. Shame on CEC Entertainment. 2012, you guys should have kept him looking the way he looked. All of your branding, all of your merchandise was on point, and a lot of the old Chucky from Cool Chuck, Coach Chuck didn't need to be touched. That stuff didn't need to be touched. That stuff is memorabilia. Stuff is good stuff. And CEC ruined it. Ruined it, I tell you.
Magical, as silly as that sounds. It was like the essence of
Oh yeah, by the way, now they got Adventure World, which sucks. It's nothing but Krabby Land. If you watch... If you watched SpongeBob growing up and seeing the Krabby Land episode, that's what that is. It's Krabby Land. Or like, matter of fact, like, remember this crap?
Yesterday there was an event so bad that it's being called the Fire Festival of Kids Events. It was a Willy Wonka experience that charged guests $40 and used AI-generated images to drum up hype to get people in the doors. And when people actually showed up, it was legitimately like that scene out of SpongeBob with Krabby Land. It was a disheveled mess. Like a complete scam from top to
That's what
bottom.
Adventure World
Some
is.
attendees compared it to a meth lab, and I can clearly see why, because this is absolutely just a meth lab that the creator just repurposed for his exhibit here at the Willy Wonka Experience.
Oh,
This is
man.
supposed to be an Oompa Loompa at a flavor station or something, but man, the Oompa Loompa actor here looks miserable. I don't think I've ever seen someone look so visibly ashamed of the position they're in. Quite just like the worst translated English ever. It's like they walked it through Babelfish, then image. On the left is one of the images they use to get people excited to attend, and on the right is what it actually looked like in person. It looks more low effort than a backyard mini golf course that a father would put together for his
Alright, damn.
pictures of the space. It's the most
$40 for that?
joyless place on earth. I love the bottom right. Do appreciate
More like
that they
$10.
created their-
$5 at the
to
most.
Scare the children. Great. At least disaster. Link to it in the description of this video about their experience. In the Skynet. Not to put the tinfoil, can't actually wrap my. What in tarnation? Short of the expectations of people on paper. My vision of the artistic rendition of a well-known book didn't come to fruition. For that, I am absolutely, truly, and utterly sorry. There's no doubt in my mind he's getting high on his own supply here, huffing the fumes from the Oompa Loompas' dirty experience. Out of organizer Billy Cole, the director of House of Illuminati, that's the name of his group. That's what he's calling this, the House of Illuminati. It couldn't get more nefarious sounding than that. So the House of Illuminati is the one that put together the Willy Wonka. So I just had to talk. Just relief.
Terrible.
you brought life to these animatronics, but did you ever feel like something was off? I mean, with the animatronics. They're not organic, but they're moving. And ordinarily, metal doesn't just move like a human. This thing isn't real, though. You can't just get off the stage and walk around. That's ridiculous.
That's Rolf the
But
Wolf,
it
if you
could.
know about the
It
Rockfire explosion.
wouldn't hurt me, right?
They did a VHS tape of this?
No, it wouldn't do that, unless an evil scientist programmed it to do that. Animatronics have always had an uncanniness to them, though. Obviously, no rat looks like this, and Italians don't exist, but there's a deeply unsettling feeling when you sit down and look at them. The faces were mostly fine. You could never truly go wrong with them, since they're mostly translated from drawings or cartoons, but a lot of the eeriness stems from the eyes. Many of the animatronics, or more specifically the vintage
I'm gonna tell you why it scared a lot of people, right? So, in 2005, it was ordered from the CEC company. Well, they stopped programming the curtains. The curtains was the key to the whole show of thinking these things were alive. Now because they're going extinct and you have legacy stores, now they have working curtains and all that. This should have been taken. I don't know what that was. They should have been taking care of the shows. They should have already been doing that. But no, when they regularly had the shows running, they did not take care of them. So, this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. You get people looking at these robots like, man, why is it just sitting there staring? And then they come to life when the song kick on, but they've been staring at you the whole time. So after a while, it kind of loses its magic when the curtain doesn't close. The curtain is the whole part of the show. If you guys would have if the CEC company would have kept up with what they got, it would have been straight. It would have been cool, man. That's all I'm saying. If the CEC company would have kept up with what they got, it would have been fine. But nope. They did not keep up with anything. They had different stages. They had different... Like, it was... As you can see, that's the balcony stage with the Warblettes. Right there. This is the balcony stage. You know, I don't think their curtains closed. This was in the beginning because they had the portrait stage. Then they had the balcony stage. Then they had the rocker stage. I can go on and on about it. But yeah, the main popular ones were the 3 stages and the road stage. I honestly like the road stage with the TV in the middle between Chuck and the rest of the people, than having all of them on one condensed stage. It just didn't look right. But I will say this, one of the biggest highlights, like when they cared about their shows, they had a stage where Chucky would turn and the mascot would be on the other side of it. Like, and that was the trick of the curtain. And it makes you think, wow, Chucky just jumped off the stage. Like, the magic of the place is gone. The magic of the place is gone because these people want to AI generate stuff, just use pictures, and ignore what made the place what it was. Anybody can go to Dave & Buster's and eat and just play games. A lot of kids just want to go to Dave & Buster's anyway. Wouldn't it be great if you had the place just like, think about how big Dave & Buster's is. You had a big place like that, and then you had the regular Chuck E. Cheese show, like robot show, right there. with the dining area. So it's right there. People are catching the show. If they want to sit down and eat, the bar food instead of it being a sports bar thing, eat, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can still have the TVs up, all of that. Mixed in with probably even having that stupid dance floor that they got now. But that's what they should have did instead of taking away what made the place special. Now it just sucks. I don't even want to take my kids there anymore because I don't have any kids. But when in the future when I do, unless they bring back robots, there's no point into going to a Chuck E. Cheese. I can flip my basement into a arcade with screens on the wall and just go order pizza. Simple. Play games at home and order pizza. Anybody can do that. I can hook up my Nintendo Switch, the Wii, PlayStation, and have a ball. Arcade machines and just have a ball. You can order arcade machines. So, I mean, Chuck E. Cheese really, like, they messed themselves up, And it was also providing jobs for people, like technicians. People had regular jobs going in fixing the robots. Yeah, it costs money, but that's a part of the game. Keep up with the game that was formatted and laid out. If I would have knew that, if people would have known that later down the line the robots would be out the stores, I would honestly prefer the Rocket Fire Explosion Showbiz Pizza Place to still be in operation. I would rather have that. At least the people that have those showbiz shows are taking care of those shows. Oh, snap. I did not know somebody texted. Yeah, I play FNAF. I did not see somebody. I was just talking out the side of my neck. Yeah, I played FNAF. But I'm not actually playing the game. I'm just watching the video. My little sister is texting up a storm. But I was just doing reactions. I don't know if you're still here or watching me, but I was just reacting to a few things.
Chuck E. Cheese ones were equipped with realistic-looking eyes, and because of this, it siphoned a lot of the cartoonism out of the characters. When you're getting stared down by one of them, it doesn't just feel like you're being looked at by a hunk of metal, but by something with sentience. It instills too much life into something inanimate. But you want to know something? That's why it's so good. There has been a lot of horror media based on the idea of seemingly inanimate objects coming to life. However, the idea of animatronic mascots moving or coming to life hadn't been realized until a certain game. Yeah, you know what it is. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. To say this series had an impact on the horror sphere would be putting it lightly. I mean, seriously, lightly. Like, even beyond the idea of animatronics coming to life, the ripple effects caused by this series are still being felt today. It is so popular, it became popular in of itself. Like a Fazbear Ouroboros. Like a Fazbear Ouroboros. It inspired countless fan games, books, cartoons, and even analog horror. The fan games especially, because even if you already know, there are so many. A lot of them are legitimately amazing, don't get me wrong. Ironically, however, a point I hear repeated quite often is the lack of horror present in the current iterations of the series. And this point alone has brought a lot of that sentiment to the series as a whole. Considering what has been recently produced, you could say Five Nights at Freddy's isn't scary, but it was.
Oh.
Let's tend to forget how brilliant
Oh, that's what's up.
their art styles.
You're watching the stream. Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, my bad. I was so busy talking to my imaginary friends, my imaginary chatters, that I didn't even see that you had chatted back. But I'm not really playing the game. I'm just reacting to videos. I decided I'm gonna react to a whole bunch of FNAF content up until Friday, cause I can't wait for the movie to drop. So Yeah.
well as their stories. It simplified much of the gameplay so we could hone in more on what drives that sensation.
But thank you for
of horror.
watching.
It's likely why so many revisit these games. While the jump scares might be cheap, you are surrounded by layers of creative depth. But with that in mind, join me as I talk about the artistic beauty.
But FNAF is one of my favorite games. One of my favorite things to watch. Because I am a giant kid. I'm a giant kid.
Five Nights at Freddy's 1 always struck me as the outlier. Granted, it was the first in the series, and future iterations would only evolve the series, but in terms of raw atmosphere and visuals, it always struck me as the most fleshed out one. From the office to the cameras, it was all just quiet. For a game that came out in 2014, it wasn't exactly pushing the envelope for graphic fidelity, but even still, the style was something that hadn't been seen before. It had such a unique visual presence. It was reminiscent of a 90s computer game that had just been recently uncovered. The game thrived off the essence of limitations. From a gameplay sense, you as the player are limited in what you can do in the game. The real lack of clarity through the cameras as well as the environment around you makes the entire world feel ghostly. The lighting elevates the horror tremendously as well. It is visible the moment you start the game. You're given just enough light to ease you into your office, but only so many details are truly visible. The lighting doesn't stretch far enough to cover the hallways, so you're made to look into this pitch black opening on both sides of your office. It leaves so much up to the imagination. Arguably, the best use of the lighting occurs in the dining room. It makes such a large space look small. Its softness makes the whole room feel so much more expansive than it truly is, almost endless. Another spot worth mentioning is backstage. The only illumination in the room is the light from outside. It may not be enough to fill the whole room, but it's enough to see what's being hoarded. There's this deep sense of dread upon looking at the space. Nothing is happening. However, the presence of the endoskeleton and the spare heads leads to this visceral unease. You can't tell if they'll move like the other animatronics. It makes you feel as if there's another thing to worry about. The lighting also works in tandem with the animatronics as well. There are many instances in which the characters become distorted under the light. They look entirely different in some areas. They're so much more deformed. However, more often than not, a lot of the scariest moments come from Chica. Chica serves as the centerpiece of this game, in my opinion.
That is some scary shit. That is some scary ass shit. Like imagine you're getting up to go use the bathroom, and in the corner of your basement, that shit is that is sitting there. Nah.
Because without her, there'd really be no perfect example for why the horror works so well. Whenever she's on screen, she's almost always contorted in a more grotesque depiction. The instance where this works the best is when she's in the corner.
That shit is scary, nigga. The fuck? I can't even zoom into it. I can't tell if that has to be Freddy behind her. Now I tell you what, later on this week, I might like watch some gameplays. I'm not gonna play it. I might watch some gameplays and jump in front of the daggone camera, like I normally do. Just watch gameplays and jump, but jeez Louise, man. That's some scary shit.
Fiction. The instance where this works the best is when she's in the corner. What sells me the most on this frame is just how animalistic she appears. It's detached from how we'd seen her leading up to this position. It's such a contortion of her appearance that she feels like an entirely new character. On top of that, the exposure of her endoskeleton adds this extra layer of horror because it doesn't look anything like a piece of metal. Instead, it resembles a human jaw. One of the other visual aspects that I enjoy is the game over screen. It is undoubtedly one of the most horrifying stills in the game, as it shows you the consequences of getting caught. Another aspect this game utilizes to perfection is sound, as well as the lack of it. This game uses sound very sparingly, and this works to great effect because it's not necessarily meant to startle you. There's a sense of depth in the ambiance of the game. As I mentioned previously, it feels ghostly. Given the context of the game, it works very well. But I believe what manages to make the sound so horrific is how diegetic it is. There are no easily identifiable instruments, so your brain doesn't categorize it as a part of the soundtrack. The later games did expand on this, but it's why the ambiance in this game in particular is so anxiety-inducing. Rather than merely sounding like it's trying to draw something out, it feels as though it's being generated by your surroundings. Aside from just the ambiance, however, the sound effects are truly where the audio design shines. The most horrific sound has to be when the animatronics are actually in your office. You'll hear this groan.
Oh, fuck no. Oh, fuck, that scared the shit out of me. Fuck no. I'm watching something else. Nope. No, that just made my heart drop. Nope, I'm good. I don't have the audio going through the computer. I have it going through the mic. But I don't know if anybody else just heard that shit. That just scared the fuck out of me. Nice video. Hey, look, you know what? You gotta like, but nah, nigga, that shit scared the absolute fuck. I'm in here already by myself with a damn green screen behind me and shit. Oh my gosh, that scared the crap out of me. I gotta chill with these cuss words, but yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, forget that.
That game was totally rigged. Did someone order a new friend? Did I overhear? Is there someone here who needs some extra special cheering up? You can trust me. I'm friends with everyone. I've got a special present just for you. You seem nervous. Would you like me to be your friend? Would you like to hear one of my copyrighted jingles? Time for one of mine. Seem nervous. Would you like me to be your friend? Just ignore me and pretend I'm not even here. Oh, are we?
I creep my own self out.
This video is parody and is not meant to be taken seriously. Enjoy the show. At first I thought these lines were a watermark. This four-way intersection doesn't have traffic signals going in all directions. If this dog is walking on two legs, why does he need a leash? Where is Jasper's leash? We can hear that bell surprisingly well from inside a store across a city street.
Look out! Party-mobile coming through!
Movie teaches reckless driving to kids. Judging the look on Jasper's face, Chucky must drive like this often.
Chucky, maybe we should slow down a little bit?
They look stupid.
Come on, back me up here, Jasper.
I love decorations.
They're not using a good Munch voice at all. They totally different actors for each character. The only one that is approved, but I don't like this person being in the character lineup, is the new bunny. Out of all the characters, Krusty the Cat, I Out of all the damn characters CEC has had over the years, why in the world would you add this new character when you should dig up the old, like Madam Oink, Harmony Howlett? I know a lot about this crap, but yeah, they could have dug up any other animatronic character. Got a freaking bunny. But the bunny character's voice is the best voice out of all of them. The Chucky voice is not even Jared's voice. And I don't even like Rockstar Chuck. I'm a Avenger Chuck, Cool Chuck, Duncan Brandon fan all the way. Man. And where's Pasquale at? The kid in me is angry. Where's Pasquale? Why are they always trying to X out Pasquale? Even in the Avenger era, some of the daggone pictures was Xing out Pasquale, man.
Don't need the decorations much. Obligatory everyone says each other's names cliche. How is any of this legal?
Cool, huh? The Party Mobile is one of the perks of delivering for a party supply store. I get to travel around to a variety of fun, different celebrations all day.
Chucky stopped driving recklessly just long enough to deliver that exposition. 4 of the addresses on the screen are for currently open CEC locations. I've been to 3 of them. This sin is for including one I haven't.
The world needs to experience a real Chuck E. Cheese celebration to see what the holiday's all about.
This eye picture thing is kinda cool. Hopefully they don't overuse it and make it totally lame. Chucky parks in the middle of the street. This is the least crazy thing he's done so far.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Brinka. I got your decorations right here.
Thank you, Chucky. Mrs. Brinka thinks our grand opening display isn't festive enough.
My goodness, he's just delivering decorations. I don't know why Bella's dad sounds so excited.
Mi amor, I don't think that's enough to reach the level of festive.
It barely reaches the level of apathy.
Jasper's secretly talking about Kids Bop.
Maybe my ideas aren't as out there as I thought.
Mark Pepperman wrote that line.
Why does Jasper sound like that?
Why is this elephant so happy to be witnessing this? Why is nobody recording for TikTok?
Well, the good news is, on paper, that could have gone much worse.
True. The paper could have caught fire.
They're actually talking about 5 nights of fun.
We've got to keep our Christmas spirits up.
I am.
We are over 6 minutes into this special, and the only thing we've seen Munch do is eat decorations.
I can't believe that was Mrs. Claus. Man, Jasper, you really do know everybody.
People like dogs.
Not CEC Entertainment. I'm not even listening to Chucky because I can't stop looking at this backwards traffic light.
Beware of piranha. If I didn't know better, I'd say Pasquale was trying to stop us from always sliding down a pole unannounced into his restaurant.
We haven't even seen him yet, and Pasquale is already my favorite character. So this is where the wall planners from CEC went.
There's a mouse, a chicken, a dog, a rabbit, and a purple thing eating garlic knots behind me, right?
This special would have been way better if Pasquale actually had a tank of piranhas at the bottom of the pole.
Plus, I still have to unlock the secret ingredients of the Pasquale family mystery Christmas dish.
Mystery Christmas dish?
These people live above Pasquale's store and they've never heard about this dish or asked about these pictures.
Every Pasquale before me solved the secret of the mystery dish, but I'm stumped. I can't be the first Pasquale to fail this rite of passage. I'd be unworthy of the Pasquale name.
So is Pasquale's first name Pasquale or is his last name Pasquale? Is he Pasquale Pasquale?
Please don't make me regret this.
Trust me, we won't have to make you.
I feel the same way about watching this special.
Driving to the North Pole took less time than I thought.
Go Ho Ho is the best winter ride-sharing app.
Chucky's Party Mobile has a balloon built in, but he needs an app to get to the North Pole.
3 knees? How is that even possible?
I'm sorry. I know Santa's moods. Once he's lost count of his knees, it's game over. He'll never agree to go to a party now.
After all this trouble, everyone was ready to give up and go home after Santa said 3 knees. The hallway and the workshop are in 2 different time zones.
Man, you were not kidding about this one.
Bro's just getting warmed up.
Subtract a sin for the best.
Jasper doesn't sound like that.
Became the terrifying lady.
No!
Even Van Gogh was quickly known as Van, go away.
Pasquale doesn't have a beard, but he sure knows about mustache rock. Bella's parents managed to reset their display identical to at the start of the movie, after we saw it get destroyed.
You ready, Bella?
Bella's stronger than I am.
I got us the perfect Christmas party rulebook by Penelope Homespun.
First author I've ever seen to put their name on the back of the book. Heck, Stephen King's name is bigger than the title on his. Pasquale's used to his feet being bolted to a drum set.
I'm too exhausted to feel the shame of failure.
As for me, I'll handle the
Guy whose restaurant you're using to throw your all-important party may have to go to the hospital, but why check?
The mouse is following the Christmas party rulebook. Perhaps I overestimated him.
I did too.
All sold out of all decorations.
Jasper acts surprised as if he didn't just walk into a store with empty shelves. Maybe they should have sent Helen to get the decorations. This mask is giving me horrible flashbacks.
That is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Would you look at her? Oh, look at her playing.
Jasper looking like he doesn't go aw every time Bella speaks too.
Sorry, a dashing elf prince already invited us to a perfect party for the perfect Christmas party rulebook.
We're trying to save Christmas.
Helen couldn't do her job either. Why didn't Jasper and Bella do this since Bella's so adorable and
people like dogs? Come on, Helen. You really expect anyone to embrace reality at this point?
I didn't even think Ronnie knew what the word reality meant.
So much robot banana! Why is there so much robot banana?
What? More robot banana?
No!
Chucky yells at Munch, yet Munch is the only one that actually accomplished his task.
That doesn't make it's an inanimate object. You can't, it's a fruit. And so when you have a fruit, you can't make a fruit robot.
Inanimate objects can't be robots. Chucky's clearly never seen the 3-stage.
Merry last Christmas, Chuck E. Cheese.
Pasquale's getting a cease and desist from CEC Entertainment.
They haven't given up.
Of course they haven't. There's still 20 assists from C.
There's a Chuck E. Cheese.
C Entertainment.
Whatever.
They haven't given up.
Of course they haven't. There's still 20 minutes left. Chucky was able to find a perfectly sized clinic banner on Christmas Eve to use only once. Meanwhile, CEC needed AI for Adventure World.
That should be clear to everyone.
I'll just be a minute. I'm picking up a takeout order.
This car getting on the roof in less than 5 seconds is the most plausible thing that's happened so far. City has an unprotected power switch for every building. Furthermore, Legamo somehow knows about this switch, yet the characters that live eye level to it do not.
The power went out!
What was your first clue, Chucky? Hey, the power's back on.
Oh, no, you don't, knaves. Vermin! I'm talking to them, not myself.
We get it. You talk to yourself. I did not see this coming. Watch the bus, bus, bus. Watch the bus, bus, bus. A mouse drives around wreaking havoc while a purple monster eats everything in sight, and somehow this is the most surprising thing these people have seen.
They could put your face on t-shirts and books and toys.
Hey, Chuck E. Cheese is no one's mascot.
Not without his picture eyes, he's not.
This is all my fault.
The protagonist throws in the towel. Christmas would be ruined forever if it weren't for Legamos realizing his mistake.
Yeah, right, Bilbo. We're supposed to just take your word for it?
No, of course not. I've got this redemption arc document notarized.
Send for the notary's office that is open this late on Christmas Eve.
I figured out the Pasquale family mystery Christmas dish.
Pasquale made his whole mystery dish off screen? That would have been much more entertaining to watch than Legamos' epiphany.
It was never about the ingredients past Pasquale's used. It was about trusting myself.
And of course, there has to be a moral here too.
We had to quarantine the North Pole due to an outbreak of beard rot.
Sandy can't recognize Jasper until he slightly removes his glasses. Also, the guy who
knows when you're sleeping and when you're awake
can't recognize one of his most notorious elves. So Bella does know where the switch is and how to access it, but chose to leave the power out for the sake of the plot. Bella's the real villain of this movie. There are like 7 people in the restaurant, but we hear a whole football stadium cheering when the lights turn on.
Look! There it is!
The pole with the all-important power switch has completely disappeared.
Whoa! See? There are no piranha here.
Unfortunately. Jasper rode on a reindeer and cosplayed as one in the same movie. Bella moves her arms less than Pineville's Pasquale. Low-budget animation loop. So Pasquale does know how to draw. Big bells somehow jump over little bells. Smooth transition.
I knew you could do it, Chucky. You just needed a little faith in yourself like I've always had.
I seem to remember Chucky completely giving up and needing the villain to help him save the day.
The first ever giant cookie pizza.
Pasquale got his mystery dish idea from chuckycheese.com/food/menu. Christmas Eve in the North Pole is on December 23rd. These elves build robots while CEC Entertainment destroys them. Forget beard rot, eyebrow rot is the real epidemic.
Beware of piranha. Even at the frozen North Pole, Santa never chills.
Cool story, bro.
Which is why I'm at the biggest tree lot in town. Trees a crowd.
Can I join your trio too?
That sucked. I'm glad I didn't watch the actual short film. It's not made for me, it's made for kids, but still, it's stupid. Alright, well, I might watch one more thing and get off of here.
In March 2023,
2 years
Scott
ago.
Cawthon and Blumhouse invited me to see the FNAF movie set, flying all the way to the amazing New Orleans from the UK. In this video, you are going to see exclusive footage of the FNAF movie set, and of course, meeting the animatronic band, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. The video will be split into different sections from each day that we visited the set. This is probably the most exciting and special video ever that I've put on the channel. Just so you guys know, there will be another FNAF movie video coming out after the movie release, which just released the 27th of October, guys, so make sure you go and watch the movie and book your tickets now. So obviously that's not going to be included in today's video. There will be another one showing spoilers after release. I really hope you guys enjoy this. A massive thank you to Scott Cawthon, Universal, Blumhouse, all of the crew at the movie set. So here we go, guys, it's finally here. This is visiting the FNAF movie set.
Yeah, just be really quiet and shy. Man, I'm scared.
This lovely man here is Mark Fisichella, the set designer for the movie. Mark will be showing us around the
For
set
the
and
movie.
giving us some amazing talking points.
Corridors that take you to other parts of the venue. The kitchen is in there. Just about to say, is that the kitchen? That's the kitchen. Amazing. And if we go through here, we'll start in the security office.
Ooh.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Josh, hi.
On the tour with Mark, we met Josh and Elizabeth, who are playing Mike and Vanessa, and also Emma, the director of the movie.
It's me.
Okay, they blew that up way more than I thought.
I know, it's like smashed.
You're very close up on that.
Why are you doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else is miserable.
Yeah, and I'm just really happy.
You love working at Fazbear's.
Yeah, I love working here.
And there's the monitor thing.
Oh yeah. Yo, wow.
Oh no way. That's so
Wow.
cool. There's the poster honk. Squeeze Freddy's nose.
Damn. Oh, so cool. Look.
This is coffee machine. It's a callback to one of his old games.
Coffee pot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right there, which starts a series of ductwork that travels all around the pizzeria.
And it's all linked real life as well.
No, it goes so far, and then what we have is we have a set that's just ductwork.
Really?
That we can crawl through and take the top off or the sides off, go in any direction and in different configurations, and then pop out in different parts of the dining room and the storage room and the hall.
Wow.
Incredible. So I'll show you all those vents as well. Now we also have they come and go. Have it on the mirror, but then we take it away for different scenes. Actually, a hole in the back of the set so we can shoot through the locker.
Oh, that's so cool.
So cool, man.
Look at this. Oh, it's a slide that goes into the ball pit.
Oh yeah. There's got to be a ball pit scene with the animatronic in here or something.
These are hallways.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is spooky. This is completely vibe change.
Is that a torso? Is that Freddy's torso?
Yeah, there's a bloody torso and character parts everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So someone died here, I assume.
Wow.
They have their demise in this closet here.
Oh yeah. Oh, that looks exactly like the game with the light bulb as well.
Bonnie looks up.
Yeah.
These are the stunt costumes.
Oh,
so there's some that can actually put them on and do movements that the animatronics can't do.
Oh, what is that? Oh, is this one of the old animatronic heads? It's a lion, a tiger? A lion? It's a lion, isn't it? Hey, yo. And there's another vent, is it? Probably, yeah.
One more room.
Is it parts and service?
Parts and service.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh my god! Wow!
It's like freaking Frankenstein.
It is like Frankenstein's layer, yeah.
Look at those eyes. It's the fact that they've got a chair
Oh
here
man.
as well. It's using a torture. That's so cool. That's where they stuff them into the suits.
No way.
Yeah, 100%. You getting stuffed, son. Oh, that, This is just all Williams bits and bobs.
Yeah.
This is where the magic happens.
Jesus.
Working on something up there.
Oh my god!
That's so cool. Does it? Did this? Do the eyes?
That one does.
Oh, okay.
So this is the stunt one.
The stunt one.
You can touch it.
Oh, you
wow.
can touch the cupcake.
Thank you.
That is amazing. That is so cool, man.
That looks perfect.
It does look
doesn't it?
perfect, yeah. Oh, see Foxy under here. Wow. Foxy looks so good, man. He looks good. He looks really good. He looks terrifying, man.
Oh, yeah, that's so faithful.
That looks so good. FNAF 3 bad ending. Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you. Oh, is this for us? Oh man. No. We're meeting them. Wow.
What?
Oh my god.
I legit cannot tell if they're animatronics.
He's just staring at me. He doesn't look very happy.
He looks beautiful. Oh, he likes that. You're beautiful. You're beautiful too. Don't trust me.
So good. Oh my goodness. Oh man.
These are amazing.
Oh.
How?
Wow. Hi, Freddy.
I can't wiggle my ears. Wait. No.
Hi, Chica.
Chica looks like she's singing.
It's crazy because you can actually hear the animatronic sounds.
Oh man.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Oh no. I'm backing up. Oh, Chica's waving.
Fine.
Wow.
Do you need glasses?
Oh god.
You need to get Bonnie some glasses.
That looks so good, man. Whoa! Okay.
Freddy wants all the smoke.
Oh man.
Chica looks like the only happy looking one. No, never mind. I can't believe this.
That is so cool. Oh man.
They're so realistic. They look perfect. Actually.
Look like a handshake.
Okay, you going for a handshake?
I don't know. I'm too scared.
I don't think you're very sanitary. Sorry, Bonnie.
Oh, he wants a hug.
A hug?
No.
You're up.
I don't know. Are we allowed to hug him? Oh, oh man.
Oh man, that's dope.
That is so cool.
I've got it all embarrassed.
Wow. Is Bonnie laughing?
Chica's looking kind of sad. Somebody go give Chica
Wait,
a
was
hug.
he laughing?
Wow. Is Bonnie laughing?
Chica's looking kind of sad.
Wow.
Somebody go give Chica a hug. Look, somebody give Chica a hug. Thank you. Bring it in.
Oh, look at the face.
Freddy's looking sad.
Oh, Freddy's laughing.
No, he's crying.
Is he crying?
Oh, do you want a hug as well?
I'll give Freddy. Do you want a hug? I'll give you a hug.
You gotta give Freddy a hug.
Oh, yeah, I'll record it, mate.
Bring it in. Big ol' hug. Bring it in.
Oh.
What have I done?
And a very good
What does he smell like?
Focusing on the smile.
Right, does that mean I have to hug Foxy?
Yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't want a hug. He does not want a hug. Oh my god. Oh, Bonnie's eyes are lit up as well now. Oh yeah, Chica's. Wow.
Don't accept the hug now.
So cool. Yo.
I don't know, man. That's not.
Can I get a hug from Freddy as well?
It sounded so sad.
Oh no, I haven't had a hug yet. Freddy.
Can I have a hug, please? Yay! Big old Fraz hug.
Don't let him squeeze you.
Here's a wiggling. Like me.
Give him a scratch on the head. He'll enjoy that. Oh, thanks. I am speechless. So good.
Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah, it really is.
Seeing them all come to life and seeing them as realistic as this, it's spot on. Can we get a high five from all of you? Is that right?
What with the red eye? Do you think that's
High five from everybody.
Yeah.
Bonnie had his hand up. There you go.
Don't leave him hanging. That's why they get angry.
Oh, is that another hug? Oh.
I won.
Oh no. She let me go earlier this time. Thanks, Chica. Just offered a hug for me again.
Wow.
We'll let you get back to your day job.
Yeah.
Your night job.
Oh, pretty sad when you.
Oh, we've got
Freddy,
to
I'm
go,
sorry.
Freddy.
Tell you what, Freddy, I'll come back during the week. We'll hang out, get some pizza, play some arcade games. Yeah? You like that?
Yeah.
We all hanging out? As
all hanging. As long as my entrails aren't hanging out. You know what I'm saying? You liked it, yeah.
Oh, the cupcake!
Spoilers. Your friend's coming, Chica.
Yep.
Hey! Baby's coming. It's your baby. Now remember, don't eat your child.
Whoa, okay. That's so cool. Don't go near it, don't go too close.
I know.
It's a baby.
Hiya. That's a real close-up.
That's what's up. I wish I could have met those daggone characters, man.
Hi, John.
I got the last one on the list, huh?
Hi, DJ. Me, Baz, treading on glass, and Ryan. Hi, guys. This is the office right here.
Closer. Oh, you guys need to clean this place.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
This is awful.
Do you want your pizza or not?
This is disgusting.
Spooky. Okay, come on. Obviously, we've got the main stage here. Chica is over here though because they are filming something where they're doing a bit of a dance with Abby. But let's say hello to Foxy first. So you can see Foxy has got what? Cake. You see Foxy's got like this. What is this called?
It's a crane operation system.
Crane operation system. Because okay. Foxy's like full robot form, fully controlled by somebody, which is really cool. He's crouched a little bit though. Then moving on to the left, you can see Chica here. Once again, looking absolutely amazing. I'm nervous. I know, but they're just gonna be like, wow.
You know what the fans are like, man. They dig in.
You're so shy compared to your videos. But yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for dancing with me. Here's the prize corner as well. And like I said, the Hex plushies are here, guys, in the prize corner, which you might see in the movie, which is really cool. And all of the funny merch from the past. Remember the Halloween masks and stuff of the animatronics, which is really cool. And here is the kitchen as well. Hopefully we're going to see the kitchen at some point. There's a massive fan there, which I think is going to be really cool to see. It looks like that's going to be like something. Oh, there they are. Hello. Hi, Ryan. Don't you think it's quite scary when there's nobody here?
Yeah, it really does.
And like an hour ago, there was a bunch of people here filming,
like
and
now it's
just empty.
Liminal pizzeria.
Man. Hi guys, I'm back at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, as you can see, but this time all of the animatronics are on stage, including Foxy and Chica. If you remember yesterday, I was really awkward and shy, so hopefully this take goes a little bit better. Okay, so come with me guys, come on.
It's Blue's Clues.
Let's go and say hello. Blue's Clues, everybody. So here is Foxy on stage, and as you can see,
He looks absolutely amazing. And as you can see, he's on like this wooden podium. You can see some rails, so it looks like he's going to come forward and backwards when the curtains open and close, which is going to be really cool. He's probably going to pop out and start singing some foxy pirate tunes. Du-du-du-du-du-dum. You know the drill. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, Foxy looks awesome. You've seen him before, the billionth time, but we just wanted to show Foxy on stage, looking awesome, his own little section at Pirates Cove. Something interesting as well, by the way, next to the stage is the Showtime button, which we're not going to press. We're not going to press it. But you remember in FNAF VR, the Showtime button, it makes all the animatronics perform, and it looks really cool. So I'm guessing that's going to be used in the film. Maybe Abby will push the button or something, and all of the animatronics will start performing. So, let's go to the main stage, everybody. Here is Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica all in there, you know, where they are in the original FNAF 1 game, all of the same positions. Freddy at the front with the mic, and I think I'm going to go up and say hello to them. So, hi camera. Hi. Follow me, guys. Hopefully I don't trip. I'll probably trip. Okay. Yeah, because yesterday we didn't get a close-up of them on stage, did we? So yeah, here they are, guys. Here's Bonnie the Bunny, and this time he's got his beautiful guitar as well, looking amazing.
I must say I do have work in the morning, so hey, look, I'm gonna be streaming some more FNAF content, and yeah, man, I can't wait for this week. Find us at Freddy's, man. Y'all have a blessed one.